Assalamu alaikum. I am Anisa and my family has been homeschooling for 4 years. I wanted to put together a presentation to give people an idea of some of the benefits of homeschooling and how to go about homeschooling in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. The benefits of homeschooling can vary between families. Here are four potential benefits. The first is flexibility. This can be flexibility in your time. Homeschooling does not take as much time as a typical school day, so there is more time to do other things that are important to your family. It is also not required to follow the same schedule as a typical school, so you can take time off when you need or want to. There is also flexibility in what your child learns and how he or she learns, which will be discussed more in a little bit. Another benefit of homeschooling is that the pacing of what is being learned can be adjusted to your child's needs. Perhaps your child is advanced in math. Instead of spending weeks on a specific skill, they can move on to the next skill sooner. The same can be said for a child who is struggling in a subject. Instead of pushing them along with the rest of a class, they can take the time they need to learn at their own pace and be successful. A big benefit for my family is the bond that we have created. When one of my older kids was homeschooling, our relationship got stronger. I also see it with my younger kids. Of course, they fight sometimes, but they are able to play together and enjoy each other's company because they actually have the time together to create a strong relationship. The family also becomes their main influence because we are together so much. Of course, they spend time away from the family with friends and at activities, but for now, the family is the strongest bond and influence. The final benefit I'm going to mention is the areas of study that can be focused on in your homeschool. If a child has a strong interest in a specific subject, such as outer space or animals, then those are themes that can be focused on in the homeschool in multiple subjects. Or if a child enjoys writing, then these also can be utilized in multiple subject areas. Next, we are going to talk about some common homeschooling styles. I don't feel like picking a homeschooling style is super important, but most of us only have experience with the typical school environment, so it can be good to know what other styles are out there. I will just give a quick overview of each. If one or more styles interest you, more information can be easily found online. The first style is traditional homeschooling style. This style is most similar to a traditional school setting, with the child learning through the use of textbooks and workbooks. The next homeschooling style is Charlotte Mason, which is named after the educator who founded this educational method. Most notably, this style is defined by the use of living books and then the child narrating or retelling what he or she has learned. The classical homeschooling style uses methods of teaching that originated with ancient Greeks with three levels of learning: grammar for ages 6 to 10, dialectic for ages 10 to 12, and rhetoric for ages 13 to 18. When using unit studies, all subjects have a shared theme. For example, if the theme is ancient Egypt, the child might read about ancient Egypt for history, calculate the height of a pyramid for math, learn how irrigation from the Nile was achieved for science, and spell pyramid for language arts. Learning happens through life experiences instead of from a set curriculum for those who unschool. For example, a student may learn fractions while measuring ingredients when cooking, spelling while writing letters to friends, or the life cycle of plants while exploring nature. Finally, a family may utilize two or more styles, which makes their style eclectic. Some families like to use online schools. The type of school that is used determines if one must submit homeschool paperwork or not. One type of online school is online public school. Since these are considered public schools, homeschooling paperwork does not need to be submitted if your child is enrolled full-time in one of these schools. In Massachusetts, there are two options for free online public school: TECA and Greater Commonwealth Virtual School. In New Hampshire, there is one free public school, Virtual Learning Academic Charter School. There are also private online schools, both Islamic and non-Islamic options. Some of these schools are accredited and therefore do not need to have homeschool paperwork submitted. Other online schools are not accredited, so homeschool paperwork does not need to be submitted. There are also online homeschools that can provide some or all of your child's subjects. I've listed a few here, but there are others as well. There are also other learning opportunities for your child. There are websites and apps that can help students learn and practice specific skills or subjects. Khan Academy and OutSchool are just two options. Khan Academy not only has regular academic courses, but electives such as computer sciences, financial literacy, and more, all for free. They also provide individual explanatory videos for topics if your child needs help with a specific concept instead of a complete course. OutSchool is a learning platform where your child can take individual classes or series of classes on academic subjects or electives. Available classes include both live and pre-recorded options. Learning also does not and should not happen only in your home. Homeschooling cooperatives or co-ops bring homeschooling families together to share the teaching of various skills and to provide social interaction. Another way to get out of the house is to attend in-person classes and activities, some of which are catered to homeschooling families. My family has attended weekly homeschool playground meetups, town sports, library activities, and art classes. There are so many other options. Finally, field trips are a lot of fun. These can be done with just your family or with other homeschooling families. There are museums and historical sites. Some travel to see other parts of the country or even other countries. These are all ways to expand our knowledge about our world. Now, on to how to homeschool in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Each state has its own process and requirements. In Massachusetts, all children between the ages of 6 and 16 must receive an education, whether it be in a public school, private school, or homeschool. So if you plan to homeschool your child between these ages, each year you must submit an education plan to the school district in which you live. Once your child reaches 16, you are no longer required to submit an education plan. However, some colleges may want a record showing your child was officially homeschooling until the time they graduated. In this case, you would want to continue to submit an education plan each year until your child graduates from your homeschool. You may start homeschooling at any time. It does not need to be at the start of the school year. However, an education plan must be submitted before starting to homeschool. An education plan must include the subjects you plan to teach that year. All subjects that are taught in the public schools are required to be taught, but not necessarily in the order or grade level that they are taught at the public school. Next, a general statement saying that you will complete the equivalent number of hours and days as a public school is required. Notice, it says equivalent. Earlier I said it does not take as long to homeschool as it does in a typical school setting. Learning also happens outside of just coursework. Just living life, you will discuss and discover things together. The next requirement is a general statement of the materials you plan to use. These materials can be generic, such as library activities, math workbooks, and town sports, or more specific with the exact curriculum you plan to use, such as Math with Confidence Grade 2. Next, a statement of the parents' qualifications to teach a child must be made. There is no specific level of education that a person must have to homeschool their child. Many Massachusetts homeschoolers use the following statement or something similar. We are of competent ability and good morals. The final requirement for an education plan is what type of assessment will be used to determine the child's progress during the year. In Massachusetts, there are 3 options. Dated work samples, where you keep a couple of pieces of dated work from each subject from both the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Progress report, where you would list each subject and that the child is making progress. Or standardized testing, where the child would take a standardized test that would show their current level in the core subjects. Only one of these 3 need to be completed. A school district cannot ask for more than one. Some school districts will require one of the assessments to be turned in at the end of each year, while other towns do not. In New Hampshire, if you are homeschooling a child between the ages of 6 and 18, you must submit a letter of intent. Unlike Massachusetts, this letter of intent only needs to be submitted before initially starting to homeschool, not annually. The letter of intent must include the names, addresses, and dates of birth of each child being homeschooled, the names and addresses of the parents, and the date in which homeschooling will begin. Each year, a portfolio of the child's work must be created and kept for at least 2 years after completion. The child's educational progress must be evaluated each year. This can be done one of 3 ways: by a certified teacher, with a national or state achievement test, or another measurement tool mutually agreed upon by the parent and the participating agency. This assessment does not need to be submitted, but should be kept in case there is a question about the homeschooling program. If ending the homeschooling program before the child is 18 years old, the parent must submit a written notice stating how the child will continue their education or certify that the child has completed high school. Here are some useful websites and Facebook groups. The websites listed for both Massachusetts and New Hampshire explain the whole process to get started to homeschooling in each state, with frequently asked questions and examples of paperwork to submit. The testing website is where you can get standardized tests if that is how you want to assess your child's progress. The Facebook groups are helpful for asking homeschooling advice and to find classes and meetups. There are so many out there if you search. It can be helpful to search for your town's name and plus homeschool to find local groups. Finally, here are some Islamic resources to help with homeschooling. These Islamic studies books and online Arabic and Quran classes are all ones that I have personally used with my kids, but there are many other options for both. Muslim parents have been homeschooling their kids for years, but only recently have we been starting to see more of them sharing their homeschooling journeys online and through social media. The first three names, Our Muslim Homeschool, Pepper and Pine, and Middle Way Mom, have been around in homeschooling for many years and are great resources. Dr. Gemma of Our Muslim Homeschool has a program called Launch Your Homeschool that helps new homeschoolers find their reason for homeschooling. Hannah of Pepper and Pine shares resources that she used, but also sells resources with Islamic themes that she has developed herself. Shannon of Middle Way Mom has a website but shares more on Instagram. It is fairly easy to find secular and Christian-based homeschooling curricula, but it is harder to find Islamically integrated academic curricula. Ilama and Lote Tree Learning are two companies that I have found that have quality Islamically integrated curricula. I have created a WhatsApp group for people who may be interested in homeschooling so they can ask questions. If enough people actually start to homeschool in our area, we could start another group specifically for those who are actively homeschooling so we can plan activities together. Jazakallah khairan for taking the time to learn about homeschooling. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or for help getting started on your own homeschooling adventure.